Welcome to the Mindful ADHDva, the podcast for high-achieving women on a journey of personal growth and mindfulness, seeking to master ADHD in the real world. I'm your host, Coach Lauren, and each week we explore the tools and strategies that empower you to conquer ADHD challenges to live a happy and holistic lifestyle. Because remember, there are no drastic changes without drastically changing. So let's get ready to transform your life. All right, so we are back with episode 5 of the Mindful ADHDva Podcast with Coach Dr. Lauren. So I threw back in the doctor because I was a little on the fence about, do I take it out, do I leave it? But, I went affectionately known as Dr. Lauren on my Dyslexia Mom Boss podcast, and, I did work for that doctorate, so why the hell not? Today's episode, I think, is critical. All episodes on this podcast are critical, but I really want us to talk about intention versus attention. So is your intention on your attention? I know that sounds like kind of crazy. You're like, intention, attention. So of course, I want to always open up with a question for you to consider, because this is a action step. I want you to take massive action, transformational podcast. I'm not just here to talk. I love talking, don't get me wrong, but I want to give you something actionable, whether it is a critical question for you to think about, whether it is a masterclass that I'm offering, whether it is a free coaching session, or whether it is tips. I want this to be something that you can take away. So let's start off with this question. So have you ever started your day in a bad mood and found it really hard to kind of get back on track, and the rest of your day is like a domino effect of just negativity? Or have you started your day and it was positive, and then something negative happens and it's really hard to get back on track because you're so derailed? Of course this has happened to you. Whether it's both or one or the other, neither are good, right? Because we are literally the masters of our mind. We are the ones that control how our day will unfold. So if you're allowing external things to impact your mood, which can domino effect into how you interact with people, which can domino effect in your environment and all this negativity, you're going to be a miserable soul. That's not the point of what this podcast is about. I want you to be mindful in utilizing tools to live a life that you can thrive with your ADHD. So I want to tell you a little bit about this research study. So as you all know, these episodes, you can watch them on my YouTube channel, so you can see me. Hi, everyone. If you are listening, hi, everyone in your earbuds. But if you were very much a reader, this is also a blog post too that is linked in the show notes, and it is called "Is Your Attention on Your Attention?" So when we really think about what we put our focus on, we are going to get more of that. And I always use the example of, a car. You buy a brand new car, you see that car everywhere because it's on your mind. It's the same thing with positivity and negativity. So there was a Harvard research study that actually took from another research study, and it was polling, I think, 24 radiologists. And the whole purpose, it was a science experiment within itself. Like, it was like scientists doing a psychological scientific experiment. But it was basically these 24 radiologists were supposed to watch how many times a basketball went back and forth between two basketball players. And what they found, and this is like a set amount of time, I don't remember the time frame, but what they found was, 83% of the radiologists, so that's about 20 of them missed a massive gorilla walking behind where the basketballs were being passed. Okay, this gorilla, obviously not a real gorilla, but it was huge. It was huge. Now, this is a metaphor for life. So if you're focused on the basketballs going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, you're counting, you're like 777, 776, 778. and you don't see that positive, massive thing, hello, I'm right here, that's really showing where your attention is. You are not intentional with really being mindful as to where are you putting your attention. So I thought that was a really interesting experiment. If you are reading the blog post, there's a link on there that says Harvard research study. Within that Harvard research study, it will take you to an abstract of the actual research study. And I think it's on, one of those research databases, if you really are like a guru, a nerd guru. But I gave that story because we do this all the time. We only focus on what we think is important, and that could actually be something extremely negative that is, detrimental to our mental health. And really what I want you to take away from this is how you can really pull yourself out of that and really have intentional intentions. Now, more than often, we just do things out of a knee-jerk response. So if someone's an asshole to us, we're going to respond back in being an asshole. If someone is kind to us, depending on the kind of person we are, we might be, skeptical. Why are they being so nice to me? Or maybe you'll take the kindness, but you won't, you'll receive the kindness, but you won't give it back. It's all about energy too. So how do we slow ourselves down to actually figure out, well, what is the intention of my action? Is my action to have a miserable day? Well, then hell, I'm doing great. Everything has gone wrong for the first 5 hours of my day. So clearly that's my intention. That's what I want to do. But we know that that's not your intention. We know your intention is to be as positive as you can, to get the most out of your day. And how do you go about doing that? Well, the first thing you need to do is you need to check in with yourself. Okay, this is something that is so simple, but yet so hard. So many people don't know how they feel. Now, I was one of those people for a very long time. I was either frustrated, angry, happy, or sad. And there are a whole slew and spectrum of feelings. So to just say that I am those 4 emotions is very primitive, very primitive. And so I actually tell clients that work with me to download this free app. And if you're listening, well, of course you're listening because I'm in your ears or you're on YouTube. So clearly you're listening. I want you to download the app How We Feel. Now, this is a research-based free app. Research was done by Yale University, and they recognize, I think this was like in the height of the pandemic, or maybe it was after. I don't know when the app was launched, but they realized that, this was an epidemic of people not really, mental health is a crisis now. Like, how are we addressing our mental health? So they made this app accessible for all. And to be honest with you, it is the simplest, easiest app ever, but it's really hard if you're not in tune with your emotions. So how it's set up is you can go through a few like intro courses where they talk about don't be a judge, be a feeling scientist. So you're not judging that you're feeling sad. You're not judging that you're feeling angry. You're just a scientist. You're observing. You're putting the intention on that attention. You're paying attention to that emotion, and you're intentional about understanding what that means and why. So there are 4 different colors in there. There is, actually, I'm going to pull out my phone so I can actively show you. And those of you who are watching this is what the app looks like. I don't know if you can see that. So we have high energy, unpleasant, and those are feelings like annoyed, shocked, overwhelmed, anxious, frustrated, embarrassed, repulsed. Then we have feelings that are low energy, unpleasant. So that's apathetic, disappointed, excluded, trapped. Then we have our high energy, pleasant, exhilarated, thrilled, productive, happy, optimistic, challenged. And then we have lastly our low energy, pleasant, which is comfortable, thoughtful, appreciated, calm, grateful. So what I love about this is it moves around. Okay. And if you don't know what some of these emotions are, or you know what they are and you're like, I'm not quite sure if that's how I feel, it gives you a little small definition. And that allows you to slow down and say, I don't think I feel this way. Or like, I feel this way, but why am I so agitated? So you are checking in with yourself, which we all should do that. The second practical tip is to recognize your filters. So discuss any impact of any toxic relationships or situations that are happening. There's toxicity all around us. Episode 4, the last episode, was all about toxic relationships. This could be at home. This could be with a coworker. This could be with a neighbor. This can be with just whatever it is. Toxicity is everywhere. So you need to be able to recognize what filter you're wearing and how that is impacting your state. You need to be able to understand why that is the case, so then you can, again, be that feeling scientist. I also want you then, the next practical step is to decide on a positive intention. Now, this might literally be the hardest part because it's really easy to stay in, Negativeville. It's really easy to just complain. It's really easy to take the victim approach. Well, this is happening to me. Why is this happening to me? Well, it's happening to you because you're allowing it to happen to you. Like, there's certain things we can control and there's certain things we can't control. You may not be able to control the circumstances you're in, but you can damn sure control how you're reacting to it. So we want to decide, how are we going to interact and address this issue? How can we come from the glass is half full rather than the glass is half empty? And that's critical, because it's so easy to just be like, well, I don't have that, so I can't do it. And here's the other thing too, and I'll do a whole episode on this. When you're constantly negative, your energy's down, your vibration's low. It's just not a good look. And then when that happens, then depending on what kind of situation you're in, you might just be stressed and anxious all the time. And when you're stressed and anxious, you're living in your survival, fight or flight, sympathetic nervous system. And while that it serves a purpose, living in that state for long periods of time causes physical and mental illness. And here's the thing. When we are constantly living in that state of negativity and fight, flight, or freeze, you're never able to get to a place where you're regulated enough to think creatively, to understand where your passion and purpose is. When you're able to think critically and creatively and really look at the big picture, you're like at your ventral state. You're in that place of, you're regulated, you can think clearly, you can stop and pause. And when you can do that, that's when you realize that you are resourced. You have everything you need within you to figure out whatever that issue is, to get what you need to get or get where you need to get. And then you become resourceful. Okay? So you have to make the choice to decide on what positive intention you want to put forward. And the last practical step is direct your attention accordingly. So again, we are going to check in with our mood. What are our expectations and concerns? Okay, so maybe you want to set some boundaries around, I'm really pissed at this person. I'm going to give myself the rest of the day, and then I'm going to move on. You want to recognize those filters. This person really said something that was extremely hurtful. Well, as the old saying goes, consider the source. Maybe this person isn't the most positive person. Maybe this person isn't in your shoes and is very judgmental. Whatever it is, you want to be able to recognize that filter. You want to be able to decide, how can I move forward and have positive intention and reframe this? And how do I direct my attention on that positive intention to really put out the energy that I want out there? So think back to the story of the basketballs. What are you looking at? Okay. When you wake up in the morning, are you just focused on how many times the basketball is going back and forth, back and forth? Are you ignoring that big gorilla in the background that could be your happiness for the day or for the week or for the month, or that opportunity that you're just not seeing? So you don't want to be staring at the basketball, which we know in that research study, it was 83% of those radiologists totally missed the gorilla. So that's 20. And then the other 4 were the ones that did see the gorilla. So keep that in mind, ladies. It's very, very important. We are the keeper of our minds, and we're the only person that can save us. You got to save you. You can't wait around for someone else to do it for you. So on that note, I have my last announcement because this episode is dropping on December 12th. The free masterclass is happening this Friday, December 15th at 12 p.m. Okay, this is a 90-minute virtual event that will help you discover, embrace, and nurture your values. I am all about you understanding who you are, your core values, because that is the anchor that will drive you to where you need to be in life. Now, this is designed for women who either have been diagnosed with ADHD or who show plenty of signs and symptoms of ADHD, and they're looking to uncover their authenticity to have a greater empowerment without the lack of fulfillment and emotional stress. I am dedicated and determined to provide high-level information in this masterclass. I feel very passionate about serving at least 500 women in the first year of my business because I know what it feels like not to feel resourced. Now, notice how I said feel because I know I am. But when we're in that state, we feel like there's nothing we can do. And I want to ensure that I am giving you the tools, because we need that toolkit, right? To know how to regulate our bodies so we can think critically about what it is we have within us that can help us become the best, authentic, aligned version of ourselves. So if that resonates with you, I want you to click the link in the show notes. I will say, I am very particular about who participates in these masterclasses. I am not interested in the girlfriends who are trying to have their screen off, driving in the car and not engaging. That is not the vibe and energy that I want in my masterclass. If that's you, more power to you. But I want to be in high vibration and spirits with women who are looking to engage, who are looking to ask critical questions, who are looking for that transformation, and who really also want to get to know me and how I coach. Because really, that's what this is about too. You get to see me in action. And I understand not everybody is for everybody. But I'm inviting you in this space because I want to help in any way that I possibly can. So if this resonates with you, then be sure to, again, register for the event, and it will direct you to my Calendly. This is a quick 15-minute pre-qualifier call, and the purpose is to get to meet you, because I want to do a face-to-face. I want to meet you, and I also want to hear what your desired outcome is. What are you looking to take away from this free masterclass, this 90-minute free masterclass? Because I always want to tailor my content to what the audience is looking for based on the topic. And how can I help? I mean, it's a quick 15-minute chat. So with that being said, be sure to register for the event if you have not. And if you're interested in booking a discovery call, I'd love to meet you and hear a little bit as to how I could serve or help in any sort of way if you were looking for some coaching. So I am so excited to be here with you in this space. I'm always so grateful. I love sharing information to empower other people. So next week, we are going to touch on the impact of schemas. And this one will be a fun one because we're going to talk about how our environment has really shaped who we are and what we think and feel. So stay tuned for next Tuesday's episode. Thank you for joining us on this transformative journey today. I'm Coach Lauren, and you have been listening to the Mindful ADHDva. Stay mindful, stay focused, and together continue to elevate our ADHD game. And remember, there are no drastic changes without drastically changing. I'll see you next week, divas.